Hey, g'day guys, how you going? Welcome to Bootlosophy. If we haven't met before, my name is Tech, and let Qantas do a little acknowledgement at this point.
Qantas Link would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the airport's lands, the Whadjuk people. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging.
We now come to me scratching an itch. For those of you who have been watching my channel, you know that I got this pair of very over-conditioned iron ranges. Well, guess what? I've got a second pair. So those of you who have subscribed to my channel, and if you haven't, why not? Button down there. You know that I bought a pair of Red Wing Iron Rangers 8111 amber harness some time ago, which was a very lightly used boot, but unfortunately it was seriously over-conditioned because it was owned by an Australian company that made boot oils and boot conditioners and waxes, and they pulled this out at every trade show and slapped on their product to show how well it got on. So unfortunately, despite this being an amber harness, as you can see, it's actually a very dark brown boot with some amber harness coming through as a result of the oils and waxes that have really been pushed into it beyond the tannery. So I really had an itch I needed to scratch because I really do like the shape of these iron ranges. I like the history. And I like the amber harness color. I could have got another color, I suppose, but I do like the amber harness color. So I bought these for about Australian $300 on eBay, well over a year ago. And then recently, I saw this pair of amber harness come up for $200 Australian on eBay. And I'm sorry, I scratched that itch. So let me just run through why I like these boots. They have a good American heritage work boot history behind them. Now, I don't think you can wear these on an Australian work site. You walk into a builder's work site and your mates are going to laugh you out of it. In Australia, we tend to wear Chelsea boots as Australian work boots, or we wear the more technical type with nylon and Gore-Tex and all that with a zip-up side. But these are clearly an American heritage work boot. I think if you got a child, ask them to close their eyes and draw a boot, this is what they'd come up with. A slightly stubby toe with a toe cap, spring toe, block heel, and laces and speed hooks, and this lovely Iron Ranger sort of slope down the front. It's built traditionally, 270-degree Goodyear welt. If you want to know about Goodyear welting, go check my video. And the back of it is nailed and glued onto the uppers. It's a true toe cap. This is the original safety toe. And by true toe cap, I mean there's a leather vamp, a full leather vamp that goes down to the toe, and then a second piece of leather that forms the toe cap. Many modern service boot, work boot type things have a false toe cap, which means the leather on the vamp only goes up to here, and then there's a leather piece that forms the toe cap, so it's a single layer. This is a double layer. Leather heel counter, so very traditionally made, cork on the inside, leather insoles, nitrile cork outsole. Quite grippy, although it's very flat. This is the older type of Iron Ranger. The more modern ones have a Vibram mini lug sole. So those are the reasons I like the Iron Ranger. And as for the reasons behind why I want the 8111, I mean, look at that lovely oil-infused, not as infused as these, but look at this lovely oil-infused amber harness leather. It shows that sort of amber colored look rather than the dark brown over-conditioned pair I got over there. So I bought these, and now I'm sort of thinking, well, what am I going to do with these? Am I going to sell them? Look, to be honest, I don't think they'll sell for very much. I bought them for $300 because I wanted an Iron Ranger, In Australia, they sell for around 600 Australian dollars. So that was a cheap buy, even though it, unfortunately, it's a Nick from Stridewise boot, isn't it? Sorry, Nick. So I was thinking what to do with this old pair, now that I've got the newer pair. Well, I'm going to experiment and use these as work boots. At home, I'm not a manual worker, but I do things like repairs around the house. I do gardening. So I'm going to give these a go as a work boot. And then once they're done, and maybe I get a video out of it, like this one, I'm going to dye them black. So I might do a video about dyeing these black as well after that and see how they turn out. So keep watching this video. As I said, I've already done a review of the Iron Ranger boots by Red Wing. But if you can't be bothered to go check that video out, even though I've given you a link, I'll just go through very quickly about Red Wing. The 8111 Iron Ranger is made by Red Wing Shoes. Now, Red Wing Shoes was founded in 1905, based in Red Wing, Minnesota in the USA, still there. No guesses for how the company was named, I guess. The Iron Ranger itself was launched in 1922, and it was originally designed in those days for iron ore mine workers working in Minnesota's Mesabi Mountains, or the so-called Iron Range. The modern-day Iron Rangers is not that different from the originals. There are a few modifications. The first model they produced was this 8111 model in oil tan brown. And today they have a wider range of leather makeups ranging from all sorts of smooth leathers, oil tan, black and charcoal and so on, as well as rough outs. This 8111 model Iron Ranger is made in a leather that they call amber harness. Amber harness is an oil tanned leather, tanned by SB Foot Tanning, another very old company, I think older even than Red Wing itself. And in fact now owned by Red Wing, so they make their own leathers. This really is, I think, an iconic boot style. I mean, if you take a look at that boot shape with its slightly bulbous, some would say clown shoe toe. I don't think so. I think it's really quite attractive in that chonky style, and a bit of toe spring. And in this model, which is the earlier model, I think they changed in about 2005. The outsole is a neocork flat outsole with a flat profile, which is perfectly fine if you're wandering around a tunnel digging out iron. Maybe not so much for wearing out casual, going for a drink on a slippery floor. And I think in the mid-2000s, because people did complain, they changed them into Vibram mini lug soles. Okay, so hi. I spent a day in these older, over-conditioned Iron Rangers, repairing some cracks and pretty large holes in the concrete floor of our porch. So I've been using them all day as a proper work boot. How's it come out? Well, overall, I think they came out really well. Let's deal with what I liked about them, using them as a work boot. Number one, the comfort factor. There's comfort and discomfort, right? Standing on them, they're not comfortable, as in wearing a pair of boots with, say, TPU soles, or even, say, the Timberland 6-inch boot with the honey lug soles that are a bit softer. I mean, this is a fairly solid outsole. But it's comfortable in the sense that the leather is very supple. And I know from the other pair that despite this being over-conditioned, the other pair is just as supple. This is a lot softer because of the over-conditioning. But it's also comfortable in the sense of the footbed. I think there is something to be said about this leather kind of footbed, because your feet, although it's not soft and squishy like on a foam-soled, outsoled work boot, like say a Blundstone, it gives you a certain comfort in the stability, in the sense that you are aware that as you're twisting and turning, you're not necessarily sort of moving around on the TPU or on the foam soles. and so it's quite solid. So it's comfortable in that sense. It's probably not comfortable in the sense that it's quite hard on the feet. But because I was working on my knees and I was twisting around in them, I really felt that comfort factor of the support that they gave you. I think you have to get the sizing absolutely right in these, because a little bit bigger and my feet would have been twisting around in them. A little bit smaller and they would have been quite painful, I think. So I've sized a half down for my Brannock in this. My Brannock is 8.5. This is an 8. That worked really well. The wideish last, number 8 last, I think this is, on the ball of the feet and that round toe, along with the higher profile sort of bulbous toe, I think gave me a lot of comfort when I was on my knees and I was twisting around, because your feet weren't necessarily just like held in place. They were actually moving around inside the boot. So that gave a lot more flexibility in the use of the boot. In terms of protectiveness, I wasn't dropping blocks of concrete on my feet, but certainly crawling around, chipping things off, it felt protective. My ankles felt as if they were supported, so protectiveness I really liked. The grip of that neocork sole, it's very flat. I was working on a concrete porch, so it was fine. Even when I was spraying it with water, there wasn't any slippage as such. I suspect if you're walking around on grass or on soft, muddy surfaces, on snow, I think you'd be in danger. But, from what I used it for, it was fine. What about the after effect? It's got kind of a bit dusty. I'll show you the other pair in a minute. And, I'm rethinking whether or not I might just wash and recondition this, use a bit of saddle soap and then maybe recondition with a Bic 4. Whether or not I still want to go through my plans of dyeing them black. I think I might still dye them black though, because I had the other pair, the newer eBay pair, which is a true amber harness coming out. I might just still dye these. I still have to wash some concrete off. In fact, I have to wash concrete off me. T-shirt and trousers, and I should probably go and have a shower now and get that all done. So that's it. A slightly different and slightly weirder video, and I will follow up at some later stage with showing how to saddle soap these really filthy iron ranges now, and I will dye them black. So I'll do a video on that, and if you're interested, make sure you subscribe. And if you like this video, please click on the like button. Lots more videos coming up, so keep in touch. Until then, take care, and I'll see you soon.